Big breaking news today. 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports have lost charter status heading into at least the next two races of this NASCAR season. Let's break down everything you need to know heading into this week's race at Dover. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host, Alex Lambert, and we have some big breaking news today. 2311 Racing, Front Row Motorsports have lost status. They have lost their chartered status. They are no longer guaranteed into each race. They are no longer essentially guaranteed as a full-time NASCAR Cup Series teams. We'll break that down a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about Chicagoland Speedway rumors, San Diego Street Course rumors looking to be more so confirmed or potentially being confirmed in the next few weeks. But really just the big news is going to be that lawsuit that we've been following for quite some time. And, this is just raw reaction. This is just me. I've taken about an hour to just kind of think about what to say, but I think it's a pretty big deal. I know it's a really big deal for those two teams, and I think it's a big deal for the sport as a whole. This whole lawsuit has not been something I've wanted to cover or follow extremely tight because it's been so much back and forth since October last year when the lawsuit was filed. Of course, we'll have to cover it a little bit more in December because that's when the actual trial is. That's when some big news could come out in the off season, but we'll continue to watch that. But over the last few months, obviously 2311 Front Row Motorsports have received temporary charter status. So just kind of recap, that means you have 36 charter teams. That's 36 teams that are guaranteed into every single race, right? If you wreck in qualifying, have an issue in qualifying, you're still guaranteed into that Cup Series race. You would just have to start in the back, over a potential open team. So you have your 36 charter teams. Those are kind of your full-time teams. 36, and you had your 4 open spots. So 40 cars could enter a race, and your 4 open spots, if it was, let's say you had 6 open drivers, 4 of those would make it, and then the bottom 2 in qualifying would go home, right? Well, now, for the next 2 weeks, at Dover and Indianapolis at least, unless something changes in the court, it'll be 30 charter teams. 2311, Front Row Motorsports, 3 teams apiece, 6 total race teams, race cars will no longer have charter status. So you have 30 guaranteed teams into each race, and now you're going to have at least 6 open teams for the remainder of the season, but you could also have a few more. So once again, 30 guaranteed entries into each race, and then you have 10 open spots available to make any NASCAR Cup Series. The good thing for 2311 and Front Row Motorsports for the next few weeks at least is there won't be over 40 entries, right? You're not going to have over 10 open entries, so they'll be guaranteed in the race. The concern is, once again, the concern would be if you do have over 40 entries for a weekend. So let's say you do have 41 entries for that race weekend and you miss a race. Well, missing a race automatically makes you ineligible for the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. So that's the concern there for drivers like Bubba Wallace, Reddick, who are in, if that is potentially an issue. Also the front row team. But the bigger concern is the financial side of this. So we don't know the exact numbers, but a report from Bob Pockris a few weeks ago explained that charter teams typically get less than half, unchartered teams, open teams typically get less than half of the purse money that charter teams get for the same results. So once again, this is just raw reaction. This just sounds like an awful situation for 23XI, Front Row Motorsports. Here's one of the statements we saw from one of the lawyers here. You can take a look at it. Not going to read the whole thing out, but obviously just explaining their disappointment with unable to get the temporary restraining order to keep their charters for the next few weeks or the remainder of the season. So once again, it's a little strange losing a charter in the middle of the year. Once again, 23XI Front Row is suing NASCAR. What those two teams want, they want permanent charters, right? They don't want it to be off of a contract basis or have NASCAR have so much control. They want permanent charters. They own it. They own that stake in the team for good. They haven't got that yet. That's why they're suing NASCAR for antitrust lawsuit. And it's just interesting. It's interesting to follow. Once again, I'm glad in December we should get more of an answer in December while all this injunctions and temporary stuff is going on. It's sort of causing, I would say, a disruption to everything in the NASCAR Cup Series, at least from a fan perspective looking at things. But yeah, I haven't followed it. Well, I followed it, but I haven't reported on it too closely just because of the continuing changing things. But I think it has to be brought up this week. Once again, that 2311 and Front Row Motorsports, 6 teams total. 6 race car teams are now open entries. They're going to get much less purse money the next 2 weeks. And, potentially moving forward, if you do have a race like a road course race or, it probably won't happen at the end of this year, but if it potentially did, where you would have a 41st entry, that could cause a little bit of panic in those race teams to make the race, right? You have an issue in qualifying, car doesn't start, mechanical failure, crash. That could be a disastrous situation for their team and their season. So that has to be addressed moving forward. It's certainly not ideal. NASCAR has already mentioned that they will not be selling those 6 charters yet. So once again, we're going to be running 30 charter teams, 10 open spots for the remainder of this season. No plans to sell any charters or add charters at this time from NASCAR. Once again, while the lawsuit's going on. Once again, the trial, December 1st, middle of the offseason. So we'll have some stuff to follow this offseason with that trial. It could be big for a lot of reasons, even as fans looking out. So we'll have to continue to watch that. And we'll continue to monitor this moving forward over the next few weeks. So once again, I do want to mention, I wanted to once again show my raw emotion or initial reaction to seeing that news, which I think is a really big deal. But also want to talk a little about some things we're adding on the schedule potentially moving forward. So it was reported earlier this week that it looks like the rumors of Chicagoland Speedway coming back to NASCAR are very high right now. This is something I've been a fan of for a long time. Actually, the second video ever I did of this show back in 2022 was talking about Chicagoland Speedway, how we wanted that racetrack back. It's been absent. It's been off the NASCAR schedule since 2019. It looks like there's a high chance we could be going back to that racetrack in 2026. So that should be exciting. It's been what would that be, like a 7-year hiatus. Certainly I'm excited to see the racetrack back. If it does come back, I would love to potentially try to get there or at least watch it on TV. That should be a fantastic racetrack with these next-gen cars, very similar to Kansas. It also looks like the San Diego street race is close to getting an official announcement, maybe next week. Per sources, it is very close to being officially announced. That sounds like to me, if you're going to do a San Diego street race, you probably wouldn't do a Chicago street race. So what it looks like, at least from everything I'm seeing as far as rumors go, once again, nothing on the schedule for next year as far as this go has been confirmed. I want to make sure that's clear. But it looks like it is possible to get a San Diego street course, Chicagoland Speedway return, which would be fan favorite, especially Chicagoland. And then you would lose Chicago street race, and then you would also lose Mexico City. That seems to be the rumors right now going around the 2026 NASCAR schedule. Once again, that's all rumors, nothing confirmed. But that's really all I want to talk about today on this midweek edition of Dirty Air. I know it's a little bit of a later episode than usual, but once again, just big news with 2311. Front Row Motorsports losing those charters. That could be something to watch during the race, right? During qualifying, during the week. It now has direct impact on the competition side of things, which is what I'm here to discuss. And then, of course, also I wanted to mention a little bit about San Diego Street Race, Chicago Land Speedway coming back. Should be exciting. But that's it. All there's to talk about. And, of course, we have Dover, the Monster Mile coming up this week. Concrete racetrack. That should be exciting. Looking forward to that race. But that's it. All there's to talk about. And, of course, let's get rowdy.